My name is John Handshoe. I'm with Hazard Independent Schools, Hazard High School. And I'll give you a little bit of an update on our project, where we're at, where we hope to go in the future with it. We started this project actually last year. And we sort of went in a different direction from last year. Last year, what we wanted to do was basically go through, use augmented reality. Well, let me back up just a second and let you know a little bit about augmented reality if you don't know. Who knows what augmented reality is? Okay, that's pretty good. A lot of people confuse virtual reality with augmented reality. Virtual reality is basically where you create an entire environment. And augmented reality is where we take objects, artifacts, whatever you want to call it, and inject it into an environment. So what we were looking at is sort of a combination of both, but our original plan was to create virtual or augmented stand-ins for relics, statues, things of that nature that have been destroyed by fire, things like that. One of the things we started working on was a bridge, the remains of a bridge in Perry County. But at some point in time last year, we realized that there could be a really, really good application of this technology. And that was to create this actually came to us after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting. Our safety officer in the school, we were practicing on a blueprint of our school. And our safety officer, once he saw our augmented model of our school that we were creating, what he wanted to do, he said, "Can you get me a copy of that?" And we sort of got to thinking about it and came to the conclusion that this might be a good thing to have in all large buildings, any high-risk facility or anything like that that may somewhere down the road need first responders to enter, with the thought that by having a virtual model of a school or an augmented model of a school, it would make it easier for them to navigate to wherever they're supposed to be. Currently, right now, all classrooms have a two-dimensional floor plan. Well, basically what we did, we took the two-dimensional floor plan and brought it up and gave the walls height, gave it a three-dimensional treatment. We could go now and rotate, move, zoom in, zoom out on our school building. And that's where we ended last year. So let's see here. We already talked about that. This is an actual screenshot of our school building. You'll notice it doesn't have a roof on it. We probably will not put a roof on it because we won't be able to see inside. But we still have a few, we're in the process right now of numbering the doors. That's the other part to this project that made it a little bit different. If I go into a room, 99% of the time, if that room is numbered, the number is on the outside of the room. What we realized is that in most cases, if you have students inside a room and they need to call out to report something going on in that room, they're reporting it to someone who has never been in there before, okay? So it ends up being something along the lines of, this is Mr. Handshoe's lab, this is the storage room off the lab, this is the reading room, this is the computer lab. First responders that have never been in that building, and even some that have been, it makes it very difficult, especially after it's routed from dispatch back to first responders from students or faculty, there's a lot of room for confusion there. So in numbering our doors, what we're doing is if we're in room 5, not only will there be numbers on the outside of that door, they'll also be on the inside. If there is an emergency, stress, anxiety is going to go through the roof. Some people may have a hard time remembering what their name is, let alone being able to accurately describe where they're located. So basically all they have to do is look at a door. We're in room 5. These numbers will match this blueprint, this floor plan. The numbers will be visible up above. This can be rotated, like I say, zoomed in. We have a sample set up outside at our booth. But that's where we pretty much ended this. Last year, we started working on this. This year, what we've started working on is we've actually got to the point we're putting the numbers on the doors. We've started putting the numbers on the doors, and we have the floor plans for the other 2 schools in our district. Our request, our funding this year was for an iPad. We had already purchased some really state-of-the-art digital tape measure. That's really not doing it justice. This is a device that I think over about 600 feet, it's accurate to a 1/16 or a 32nd of an inch. So we use that when we go to a site to get dimensions on the outside and the inside. We purchased an iPad that will link directly with that, so we can actually create some of our preliminary drawings in the field using this, because this links directly to the measuring device. It also transfers data directly, so there's no putting in the wrong numbers, putting in the wrong values. This also allows us to do a rough sketch in the field. I could come in here and measure this room, write down every number on it. If I don't have a picture or a sketch to put those numbers on, it's going to be hard for me to, when I get back, to draw an accurate, even if I have the values, it's going to be difficult. But that's what we purchased with our funds this year. This is our digital measuring device. It allows you to do our plans like I was talking about. And let's see. And finally, here is a picture of our crew starting to put the numbers on our doors. We created those, printed them, cut them, and we're actually in the process of applying them right now. We have the other 2 school districts, as I said. We're in the process of turning them from 2D into 3D. And in closing, our future plans are to, one of the things we want to try next year is to use Wi-Fi enabled and GPS enabled, I believe. No, these are just Wi-Fi. Tracking devices that you use to put on your key ring to find your keys. What we want to do is try to figure out a way to work with the software developer to incorporate these devices into the uniforms of the first responders coming into the building, so that someone on the outside can be able to track the movements and the location of the first responders while they're inside the building. And there's just a ton of applications for that. But that's where we're going in the future. We hope to have the buildings finished here shortly. We'll have our building numbered before the end of the year. And does anyone have any questions? All right, thank you.